And we're back on another episode of Salient Points. This one is number 134 for February 3rd, 2025. I had 24. I don't see if you see in the rundown, but I got 25. So we're already starting off well, Dalan. It's been about a year. No, actually, you know what? I think the last one we did was like in April. So it's been about less than a year,
It's been a long time.
It's been a good while though. We're definitely out of practice. My computer is out of practice because half this thing, like it's held by duct tape right now. All right, it's definitely like Audacity's not working. We use OBS, Discord. Everything is shutting down before we started. But anyways, Dalan, I'm Carlos Macias, the master of what? I don't know if you came up with one this time. You forgot that this is something we do. What?
No, the master of Legos.
The master of Legos. Okay, I'll take that. And of course, Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Yeah, no rolling blackouts right now,
Dude,
so I'm okay.
I hope yeah, we're in California. You're up in the mountains. Things are kind of interesting. Look, as you guys can tell, this is basically the Game of the Year episode. And by sheer ambition, I don't know, persistence. We wanted.
You just wanted to get something together today.
We wanted to have Deo, of course, on and Luis, but we just kind of everyone's busy, and we're kind of busy too. Dan, we were supposed to do this like a couple weeks ago, and honestly, it was gonna come down to the wire where I was like, I'm just gonna write something up, man. It's like it's gonna break through.
Winds, fire, illness.
Yeah,
just everything.
Yeah. I mean, to me, like I was like, you know what? I'm breaking tradition. I don't want to do it, but I might just put something out. I'll just write a top 5 or something. But thank you for joining me, Dalan. Glad that we were able to get together. Well, like I said, this is the Game of the Year. Hopefully, at the very least, if we do nothing else on We Got Comms every year. These were our favorite games of the year, and we usually split it up. I don't know if I split it up this time, but most likely it'll just be one episode. We do a few of the wackies. We don't have too many wackies this time around, but we definitely have a top 5, so we'll really definitely get into that. But news-wise, there's two big things. We don't want to kind of do too many news or anything like that. We'll just get to two big things in the last couple months. One of the big things was, of course, the Switch 2 was finally revealed. That's like
if you weren't aware.
Yeah, and the Switch 2 is something. It's the worst kept secret. It's been in the pipeline for a while, right?
I've talked about it a couple of times in the previous episodes.
Yeah, I mean,
it's been that long that we've been talking about the Switch 2.
And it's something that, of course, there's a Switch 2 that's coming out. We don't have a price yet. We just have the reveal, and mostly because it was kind of leaked out there. If you guys were on the internet, there was definitely, I think Genki, there was one guy called Genki on there. That Nintendo definitely sent their lawyers in that man's direction. But he was definitely leaking the dimensions and everything else, and they did what did you think of the reveal, Dale? You saw the reveal trailer that Nintendo put out. What did you make of that?
I still thought it was just as wacky as the last reveal that they did, but when I saw it, I just said to myself, oh, well, that's just a Switch.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple systems. I think the last time they did sort of like an iterative version, was probably like the GameCube. The GameCube, because it was like, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64, GameCube, and then they said we're playing different. You're playing a different game with the Wii. Yeah. Remember with the Wii, then the Wii U, and then the Switch.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring this up because me and one of the people I had on the podcast at one point, Mr. Husky. I'll call you out right now. We had a conversation recently simply about how they were just naming things awkwardly. And the Xbox, they had their way of going from Xbox to Xbox One to Xbox 360. And for those, it was like, all right, you're doing it. But then they went from Xbox to Xbox 360. Then they did one.
Okay, Dan, that nomenclature. All right, get to the point. Stupid. Get to the point.
The point is, the same thing happened for the names that they did for the systems, and it seems like they're doing it again for Nintendo. Nintendo apparently has a bad reputation of trying to say we're going to launch the next system and it be so close to the last system, you're wondering if you want the new system.
I don't know what case maybe. Look, and it doesn't surprise me. Look, so long since the last podcast that we did, nothing has changed. All right, Dylan, I got to get to the bottom of it. I don't even know what argument you're trying to make, but I think this is a great name. I think the Nintendo Switch 2 is a great name because it's not the Wii U, or whatever. It clearly says this is the next thing.
Would you have been better with the Wii U if they actually called it the Nintendo Revolution?
The Wii U was terrible, man. That was a terrible name because it's like Wii U. What the hell is that? This at least lets people know this is the next thing. Switch 2
because
is the
it's
next
a number.
And Xbox, and Xbox is still caught up in that nonsense, man. And all because the original Xbox was just Xbox, but remember there was a PlayStation 2, right? So PlayStation's been the
5.
Well, the PlayStation's been the luckiest one, right? Because it's been on the highest number. They don't really have to think about it. But the Xbox, because they didn't want to say Xbox 2, that's inferior to PlayStation 3, they said, oh, we know Xbox 360, but now look at where they're at. Xbox Series X or Series S. We don't even know. Which is the best.
You know where Sony's getting caught up? The portables.
Well,
that's what.
Yeah, but they don't even care about the portables, man.
But they're trying with the portables. They came out with another portable.
Yeah, but who cares? Like, who cares? It's a.
That's
cloud.
My point.
It's a cloud-based little handheld system, man. We're talking about like as far as mainstream or the main consoles that they do, it's easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at 5. PlayStation 5. So
all right. So what's the new one called, Carlos?
Nintendo Switch 2. What do you mean?
No, I'm talking about for the Sony's portable system.
Oh, PlayStation Portal, right? PlayStation Portal.
See, this is what I'm talking about. It's stupid. They got the PSP.
Yeah, no, I mean what? Yeah, but whatever. We're talking about the mainstream systems. I think Switch 2 definitely. I don't know. I'm interested to see, man, because I feel like a lot of people that bought the Switch 1 are not like. They're gonna be too impressed by better graphics. They were impressed by the fact that this was a Nintendo console that you could put onto when you get home. You put it on and it's seamless that it goes on your TV, and it's the same thing, but the sequel. And they're gonna be like, huh? The only way I feel like this kind of blows it out of the water is Christmas 2025 Mario Kart 9. If it comes out at launch. Oh man, it's over. It's over. But Mario Kart 9 does have to be exclusive, man. If it's not exclusive, if you can play it on on the Switch 1 and Switch 2, I think they still got their work cut out for it. But if they make it exclusive, it's gonna sell like hotcakes. Anything else, Dan? I know. Look, April 2nd, Nintendo Direct. That's gonna be on a Wednesday. We'll see what happens. I would assume by summer this thing's gonna drop. It could drop like the same month, man, or within the same month. What do you think? Dude? What do you think?
I'm thinking maybe we do a video for the Nintendo Direct.
We can do that. Maybe that's the next time we come back. I gotta reset this computer though, man, for sure. I'm hoping this thing even publishes.
I hate all the computers so strong.
I'm hoping this thing even publishes. By the way, did I say this is for February 3rd, 2025? So it'll be up. That's when it'll be up. But yeah, Switch 2. I think I'm gonna get it just because I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff, right? Whether it's gonna be good or not, depending on the pricing. It could be $350, $400, especially considering like the tariff. If Trump does his tariffs, this Japan tariffs or whatever he does, it could kind of push it up potentially.
Also, keep in mind, we're in 2025.
Yes. Oh, I think I did say it the day because I remember the day was off. The year was off. So the other thing, anything else on that, Dalan, before we move on to this next thing and then we'll get into the reward. The other thing we got in the last month or so was the Xbox Dev presentation. The big thing for me, of course, Doom, May 15. That's going to be on Game Pass. It's looking kind of nice. I really enjoyed Doom 2016, which to me was basically like a Metroid. It was kind of awesome. And I didn't play too much of the sequel. Was it Doom Eternal or something like that, which kind of brought in some verticality. Yeah, Doom
Eternal was the sequel.
Brought some verticality to the game. So I definitely.
But the Doom remake also brought verticality to it.
It did. But from what I understand, and like I said, I got to play Eternal. I'm gonna play it before May 15. That's my deadline to get around to that game now.
But I will say the Doom, what was it, 2016? It only had like 3 layers to it. Really.
Yeah, so I mean, and it was awesome, man. It was definitely Metroid Prime to me. Metroid Prime feeling, but the shooting was amazing. Metroid Prime, you kind of lock on and shoot around, but the exploration part of it was awesome, and that's what Doom 2016 reminded me of. But what they're saying, the developers are saying they're returning to more of that style of the 2016 version. So we'll see what happens. I'm definitely excited. It's going to be quote unquote free on Game Pass, but of course, Ninja Gaiden 4 that's dropping. I'm kind of excited. They're saying this year.
I still need to play the other Ninja Gaiden games. I played the very first one, but I was much younger and got my butt whooped across every field I was standing in. Yeah. So I never really got past it.
And 2 is on Game Pass. 2 is on Game Pass, so I got to get around to that. I got to renew my Game Pass, and I'll play it. But yes, supposedly it's out this year. You know what? If GTA slips, if GTA 6 slips to the next year, we're getting this Ninja Gaiden, man. If GTA drops this year, if it actually does happen, which I feel like it's gonna get delayed, man, because we haven't heard too much about it, lately. We'll get Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Whenever GTA 6 drops, that is the blast radius.
No, exactly. So if Rockstar confirms that GTA 6 drops at the end of this year, Xbox is gonna look at their thing and be like, Ninja Gaiden can get pushed. We can do January. We can do February.
Oh no! If you do it at the end of the year, people are gonna start trying to rush their games.
No, I mean they'll push it into January or February, man, into the new year. They'll push it. What do you mean? That means they got more time. That means they got more time.
I know it means they got more time, but I feel like they want to get it out this year.
Well, yeah, but we'll see. I mean, that blast radius is strong, man. It's strong. So yeah, the other thing, at least we'll have something new to play in a couple weeks. Xbox is definitely, I feel like there's some fruit to their labors finally. As far as the investments they've done, because Avowed action RPG that's coming out February 18th. That's probably when I renew my Game Pass, to be honest. That's what I'll get into. Are you excited? I think I've heard you talk about Avowed before. Are you kind of hyped for Avowed?
I did see some stuff for Avowed, but I wasn't as hyped for Avowed as you were, for sure. There were a couple other games I was actually hyped for, which I have on my most anticipated list. Okay. I'll come back.
We'll get into that. No, I mean, I don't know if I'm too hyped. I'm curious about it. I saw I saw some of the artwork for it, and I was like, oh, that's right, it's fucking high fantasy game. Oh man. But I'll give it a shot. Dalan. All right. Anything else?
Drop that game.
Anything? But it'll be on Game Pass. It'll be quote unquote free, right? So that would be a good thing.
And I said my piece.
All right. We'll go into the Wacky Awards now. They're not too wacky this year. Dalan, we'll start off with you. This is kind of we have a couple of classic ones. I think this is one of the cooler ones that we always do. We kick off with your 20XX game of 2024. Of course, 20XX could be like a 90 game, 92 game. It could be Mega Man 1 that you decided you're like, I went back to it and I love it. But anyways, Dalan, what's your 20XX game of 2024?
Well, you trying to go real old school. I did go back and beat the entire Mega Man X collection. Okay. But separate from that, there was one game that came out a couple of years ago that I'm still playing today because it's just refreshing and replay value, and I love those types of games, especially when I get to play it with other people, and that's Vampire Survivors. It is not an online game.
That was a 24 game, though. It wasn't a 2024?
No, it was a 23 or 22 game, man. It is an old game. Okay, they keep updating it.
All right,
they just keep adding stuff. They just added the Ode to Castlevania and added a whole bunch of Castlevania characters and just made it that more playable. Now, I can tell you this. I had my friend Jet play the game, if anybody remembers that tag name. But Jet, I had him play it when he came over to my house. Yes, Jet. Waves. He came over to my house. I had him play it from the beginning, along with Jeremy Lowe, the one that we had on our podcast a couple of times, and they both thoroughly enjoyed it. But Jet went home, called me a couple of days later, and said, "Dalan, I hate you. I am too stuck on this game now. I can't put it down."
It's a cool game, man. It's just a bunch of random shit being thrown on screen, but
nah,
it's
man,
cool.
No.
Cool.
You gotta play it from the beginning because
cool.
It's got a build to it. Trust me. Play it from scratch, and you will understand.
It's cool. It's cool. I appreciate it. Your 20XX game of 2024. Dalan, my 20XX and game of 24, which kind of influenced a little bit of later on. This game will get another award or in that franchise, but Yakuza Like a Dragon, man. It was such an incredible game. It was so fun. It's super long, man. You know how I shy away. If you guys have heard me on the podcast before, I shy away from super long games, but these Yakuza games are super long. I think Like a Dragon was easily 40 hours long, but I had a lot of fun with it, and it's definitely, look, I'm a fan of the franchise. There's the new one coming out, I think Yakuza Like a Pirate, and next month I'm there day one. I'm just back there. At some point, I believe, and I will I'm gonna go back to the Yakuza games, man. I think the last one was 3. So there's plenty of catching up. Maybe I do 0 and then kind of go from there. But I definitely got to go back to them. They're so fun. The characters are great. The writing is incredible. It's
the game is
funny.
Wacky.
It's wacky. It's the version. It's the video game version of Cobra Kai. I don't know what you guys think of that series, but to me, it's like the perfect amount of cheese. And that's Yakuza, man. That's Yakuza because it mixes tones where it's like it's wacky and then it's serious, and it does a pretty decent job of that.
Hey man, still can't forget the fact that we were homeless collecting cans.
Yes, that is very true. Not only that, collecting cans, but also looking under the what are they called? The vending machines. It's like, oh, there's some change. Oh
yeah, to try and find change.
There's some change under here. So
man, this game lets you know that poverty was a thing.
So 20XX game of 2024 is that you have Vampire Survivors. I got Like a Dragon, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Dalan, and looking forward into possibly our 20XX game of 2025 this is the game that you want to get to. What do you have something for this one, Dalan, for the game you want to get to? 20XX game you want to get into? Yeah.
Technically, I have 3, but one of them is connected to the other. So one of those games is Witchfire. I saw that game a couple years ago, and I've just been wanting to play it. It looks like a beautiful first-person action RPG game, much like you're Avowed right now. And
I think it's hilarious that you make it like I'm super hyped about Avowed. I just have a curiosity about it, man. I wouldn't say like I'm super hyped about it.
Hey, I'm just bringing back Avowed. Let it
go ahead, Dalan. So you're
happen. But yeah, Witchfire, if you haven't checked out the trailer, if you haven't seen it in a while, it looks like it has very seamless gameplay, setting a whole bunch of monsters on fire. It looks like it would have a great story, so I actually do want to get into that. But the other one is simply because there was so much raving over it, and I missed the first one when it first came out because I didn't have a PC when it first dropped, was Alan Wake. I need to play the 2 Alan Wake games. I have it installed on my PlayStation. I started a file in Alan Wake 1, but I got caught up in other games. But now it's on my list.
I don't know how well the original holds up. It's a really cool game, man.
Well, it's the
2
remake.
is good though.
Remaster one.
Hopefully that's good. And they kind of cleaned it up a little bit because it's been a while since I played. I had a lot of fun playing it originally. But 2 is excellent. 2 is damn excellent. So I at least get to that one. I hope. Oh, make sure you play I think it's called American Nightmare. Is that what it's called? No, I think that's the Red Dead Redemption. But whatever the DLC version of Alan Wake that they did was pretty cool. So get around to that.
Let me do one thing at a time. Yeah. Let me get there.
I want to get to 2, man, because 2, and I think 2 was my top 3 last year. I believe. I think it was my number 3 game of the year last year. So, or somewhere on there. It wasn't the number 1, but it was up there because it was just a stupidly excellent game. Is that it for you as far as 20?
Yeah, those my
for me, and I heard, you know what? I wanted to just kind of avoid it because whatever. Like I said, I don't like long games, even though
you wanted to avoid it.
Even though I guess I like long games when they have the perfect amount of cheese. But Metaphor Refantasio, is that the Refantasio? All right, Dylan, we'll let you get your words in here. I want to see if I can find some time for it. But I will say this: we're already into February, and it's like the backlog is already getting strong, man. It's already it's already getting strong. But that's one that I hope I can get into this year.
To get strong, but the upcoming games that are coming out this year, I honestly feel like there's not a lot coming up that I really care about. So you're gonna find some time.
I feel it's gonna be hot this year, man. It's gonna be nice, but we'll see. Maybe I can find something. Dan, we'll move into the next one. Your most anticipated game for 2025 / Vaporware. I think you might know what I'm gonna say based on that, but what is for you in 2025 your most anticipated game?
My most anticipated game is Split Fiction.
Okay. Oh,
honestly, I want to play Split Fiction. They announced that game. I was like, this game looks too excellent. I loved It Takes Two, and I want to call it Get Out, but it wasn't called Get Out. It was A Way Out.
A Way Out. Yeah. We played it. We played that game.
We played both those games. Those games were excellent in both cases. Even though A Way Out was his first one, and it was kind of breaking, and the boat was flying all through the water and stuff like that. It Takes Two built on that and said, let's make an excellent game. And then he turns around right now and he says, let's make another excellent co-op game. The only thing that sucks about these games is the fact that you are forced to play co-op.
Yeah, but because, I mean, that's what they are, right? That's
yeah, I get that. And it's cool. It would be nice to have an AI as well, sure, even if they're not as good as having an actual person. But the co-op aspect makes it. But
you kind of appreciate that though, because games aren't really doing that, right? Like they're not really doing like we're making a co-op game. But I mean, remember the cool thing about these games is you don't have an AI partner, but you only one person needs to own the game. So you buy the game and you can play with whoever you want. They just buy the free client or whatever and they can join you. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the cool part of these games.
Added that for them.
Yeah. So as far as for me, I put most anticipated / Vaporware, Metroid Prime 4. Man, I really hope it comes out. The leaker of the Switch thing is like, that's actually, they were leaking different things, right? And part of what they were leaking was like, oh, this is coming out for the Switch. Like, believe it. And then he's like, Metroid Prime 4. I'm like, bullshit, man. I can't believe anything this man says. I really can't. I mean, Metroid Prime 4 in 2025. They've rebooted the game a couple times already, right? Like, they restarted development. So it's like, come on, man. But, if it drops, which, I mean, it's over, man. It's over. That's what I want. That's what I want in my life.
Hey, we've talked about this. Your Metroid Prime 4 is my principal.
But you did bring up split fiction, man. Me and my daughter already are talking about it, man. We're gonna play that game. It's a day one game. It comes out March 6th, Dalan. So see, you were saying there's you were saying there's not a lot. I mean, already, at least for me personally, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Pirate Edition, whatever that's called, that's at the end of February, and then we got Split Fiction a couple weeks later, man. The backlog is already getting strong. It's already building up, right? And
but some of that backlog is from previous games.
But I'm talking about the next couple months, right? And hopefully Avowed is good and all that stuff. I did kind of skip around. I'm looking at a different list to keep it surprising. But speaking of my child games that we played, I know there was a couple games just kind of gave me those parental moments. I never really played with my parents that much. So it's really cool that I have something to share and connect with my child with. So these two games are just Wacky Awards. It doesn't mean they're great. But we definitely there's the Lego I think it's called Lego Horizon Adventures co-op game. It actually reminded me a little bit, Dalan, of like, remember I would talk about Gears, and Gears is like, what can you do with the third person like shooter, and they managed to surprise you with how engaging the gameplay can be. Lego Horizon Adventures is not at that level. Don't get me wrong, but
let me tell you, you're wrong.
But I was like, while we were playing, before we started playing it, I was like, it's gonna be a boring game. We're just gonna kind of jump around or whatever. But they started adding some decent, cool mechanics, man, to the game. We've been having fun with that. We're probably gonna play it later today. Actually, she's kind of asking me to play it. And the other one that was kind of a good experience, just because we were able to kind of talk about it and debate a little bit about it. Life is Strange Double Exposure. Super annoying game. You can't skip like cutscenes. You can't skip. It's not co-op. But it's single player game. But me and her played it. No, it's not co-op. But me and her played it. Like she played it first, then I played it, and we were able to have some discussions about the character. Neither one of us really liked it. But I guess the moral of the story is that we talked about it. We had something to debate about and talk about. Which
one was it? Life is Strange. What colors?
Life is Strange Double Exposure. It came out.
Double Exposure.
Yeah. And I did teach her about a store. I won't say which one it is. Actually, even the store did say it's okay to say it. But there's a store if you guys are in the LA area, I believe Gameplay. I think it's called Gameplay in Long Beach. They do street breaks over there. So they do a few days.
Hey man, stop.
He told me it was fine. I asked the owner. I was like, hey man, I'm not gonna tell too many people. And he's like, no, tell everyone. He actually told me, he's like, you can tell anybody you want because we can't get in trouble. I was like, okay, well, it's out there for the few viewers that watch this. If you're in the LA area, Gameplay Long Beach.
It's gonna get me.
Next time I go over there, because I'm gonna go soon. I believe I'm gonna clip it, and I'll be like, hey man, look, I put this out there on the internet. I'm not gonna take it down. I'm just letting you know it exists. So that was one where we took her. She got to experience that. I was like, this store has it before it even came out. I think we bought it like 2 days before, and she was like, excited looking at the box, as we went home, like, as you do when you're a child, right? You're like, actually as an adult too, I'll look at the box now. But so we did that. Life is Strange, Double Exposure. That was cool. That's cool. I think parental wackiness, I guess, of 2024. You didn't have anything for that, right, Dalan? That was
mine wasn't as wacky for sure for the two games that you chose. Mine was actually play a game with somebody who wasn't really good with games. Escape Academy is the one that we actually had as our go-to. And I love escape rooms. I will do a real-life escape room. A real escape room, not like a group escape room with like 17 groups of people, like a piece of paper on a table. Because I remember doing that once with you, Carlos, and that was the most trash experience I ever had.
I mean, I forget which one that was, but we did some. Yeah,
it was a Legend of Zelda one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was not great.
But since then, I've done a couple of escape rooms, and Escape Academy definitely filled that little bubble of I need to do an escape room and bop with other people, whether it's online or not. Ecstatically fun.
What this is on a system? This is a board game, or what's going on here?
No, it is a 3D movable game where you are playing as an escape artist, and it's co-op. You can do it online.
Oh, okay. What console? What are we?
It's PC? On Xbox, and they just put it on PS5.
Okay, interesting. Okay, cool. So that was kind of your co-op ish type of experience with friends and all that. Dalan, this is one that I want to bring back every single year because we didn't have it. We almost didn't have it this year. But we renamed it, I believe, last year. One of the years. It's the Ratchet and Clank Award, or AKA formerly known as the most frictionless game that you played this year. I have one. I definitely thought of one. What's yours, Dalan? What's the most frictionless / Ratchet and Clank game award?
Mine, because I felt it was the smoothest game. I got through it pretty fast, and I didn't care that I got through it fast, but it was a beautiful game all the way through. Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2.
Okay.
I enjoyed that game. I actually played both the games back to back. Just so I could get, because I wanted to get through the first one, because I already knew that the first one was beautiful by itself. Because they put high levels of engineering into it, screen capture, body movement. Of course, the first one, it was more about that delve into somebody who has, what was it, schizophrenia?
Yeah, like kind of like a mental issues, that kind of thing. Yeah.
The second one touches base on that, but not as much, and it honestly made it a little bit more enjoyable to actually really have the storyline going on around you and being able to have multiple characters that you could actually interact with. So they definitely expanded the Hellblade world, and I'm down for a part 3. I'm 100% down for.
Yeah, that's, what I would not call that game seamless, man.
Why do you not call it seamless?
I would, or frictionless.
Frictionless. You break. Why would you?
Slow. You can't interrupt the animations. Like once you're stuck in an animation, you're there. The fights were just not fun. But
it's called choosing your poison.
To each their own. Sure. Fine, David.
Which one's yours? What's yours?
That's easy, man. And it's funny. I didn't have to think about it too much. Astrobot. I mean, Astrobot is a stupidly frictionless game, man. It's so smooth, such a smooth game. Damn, you missed out. And I know everyone's been giving it Game of the Year, so we know that's most likely not Game of the Year for us, which is fine. But it's frictionless gameplay. Like you die right away, you come back into the gameplay area or the checkpoint you're at, and you're right back in it. The loading is impeccable. There's really no loading ever. It's the most frictionless game. For sure. I mean, Senua's Dan, what are we doing here? What's going on?
Hey, man, leave.
But that's fine. I'll give it to you, right? There's always got to be a little bit of controversy with these awards. That's part of it. Dalan, we'll get to this one actually. This one's the one that's like, what is disappointments of 2024? What are the disappointing games that you either had high hopes for, or whatever it was.
Well, I went back and I was looking at all the games I actually played, but honestly, there was only one game I was super disappointed with, even though I was looking forward to this game for I don't know how long. I even played the prequel and expecting the next game to be super fun and exciting. But Ayuden Chronicles 100 Heroes,
Okay.
I was.
Did that actually come out? Wasn't it just a demo or the side story?
No, there was the side story that came out like 3 years ago or something like that, which made me anticipate it more. And then I saw the trailers for it, and then the game dropped. And I was like, yes, as soon as you're playing the game, this is super exciting, but then I don't feel any type of connection to the prequel, so why'd they even make it? And then as I'm going through the game, it really just feels like Pokemon, but with humans. You're just going around just collecting people. There's very little story to really hang on to in that game. And you're just kind of, it feels very back and forth.
Okay. See, I thought they were still working on that, but it did drop. Yeah, and you know what? It's definitely like it's supposed to be a spiritual successor to Suikoden, right? It's supposed to be kind of in that vein, but Suikoden.
At least Suikoden had a storyline that you could hang on to.
Yeah.
Iron Chronicles does not, which is where the game falters hard.
All right. I have a couple, Dalan. I don't know. I would think this was disappointing, but maybe it wasn't. Yeah, I got a few. All right.
First, you were very disappointed.
I'll try to go through them real quick. All right. I'll try to keep it. And if you want to give your thoughts on them, because I think you might have thoughts on these actually. To be honest, or at least to be contrarian to me. The first one, Suicide Squad, killed the Justice League. That was not great. It wasn't fun. I agree with you. Me and you had a little bit of fun just because it was co-op and stuff like that. But it was not great. It was very repetitive. Very like. It just wasn't great. It had a few good liners here and there, good voice actors and stuff like that. But yeah, it wasn't great, and they shut it down.
Honestly, for that game, when I'm playing it by myself, I honestly had a bit of a blast. But again, it had that issue of repetitiveness, like you said, and then they tried to make it a live service game. That was their biggest problem. They never should have did that. They gave it an ending with no ending.
Yeah, and then the ending, they I don't know if you saw, but the ending was like just a screenshot or something like that of this is what happened at the end, and people are like, okay, that's stupid.
No, this is what happened, and we got more to come because so we're done playing for now. Now you have to wait for the DLC, and you had to wait for I can't even remember who it was that it was Brainiac. It was the Brainiac situation. How they had different universe versions of Brainiac.
And then they said
I did not want to wait
and then
that.
Obviously I think they said like, oh well, this isn't even canon, which you kind of knew that it was off, not the main thing.
Well, originally they said that it was canon, but then they changed their minds because of the bad reception.
Yeah,
that's how bad that game was.
Well, if you know me, I'm always like fuck the lore. Whatever, man. I like when they piss off the fanboys. I'll put it to you that way, and you guys know this.
Them off, and you still hated that game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but to me, it was more like on a gameplay thing, not like this isn't part of the canon or it is canon.
Yeah, I know.
The next one, Dalan, I didn't have actually any of these. I didn't really have high hopes. But it was kind of like they could have been better. Rise of the Ronin. It's another game like where you die a lot. But it just wasn't fun, man. I just didn't have fun. Yeah, I just wasn't having any fun with it. I don't think I necessarily thought it was like, oh, this is the next Ghost of Tsushima or anything like that, which was excellent. Oh, and by the way, that's another game. The sequel to that's coming out this year, Dalan. So like I said, the backlog is already becoming strong this year. But yeah, Rise of the Ronin was whatever. I don't know if we even tried co-op, but I think we might have. Oh, that's right. Co-op was terrible, man. I think that could have saved that game, but the co-op was like, you can only do a level at a time. It's like, what the fuck is this? What do you mean a level at a time and you gotta load it? And it just wasn't fun. It just wasn't fun, man. Did you play?
Yeah,
did you continue?
Yeah, you had to do the actual missions. And on top of that, you had to have unlocked that mission to play the mission with somebody. So you had to have done the mission already.
Yeah, wait till like kill momentum, man. If you want to play with your friends, it's like you got to beat every mission first. Get the fuck out of here.
Actually, I got pretty far in that game, and then eventually I thought I was on the verge of beating it because I did like 100% of the map, and then lo and behold, new map. I was like.
Yeah,
I'm gonna come back to this.
Yeah, the other one I have, and this one, you know what? This is one of those games where like this is my Trine 3. Maybe that could have been a Wacky Award. This is my Trine 3 award. Stellar Blade. I played that game and it was okay, but I don't know. I never really got into the rhythm of the combat. I beat the game and I beat it, but it was one of those things like I'm far enough into it that at this point I'm just gonna beat it just because I can't quit a thing. I just can't quit a thing.
But, I can't quit a thing.
But that's a personal problem.
You have rage quit a game before,
but it's definitely my Trine 3 award. It would be my Trine 3 award of 2024, Stellar Blade. And I'm having that issue with Mafia 2, man. Mafia 2. I don't know if you've ever played it. 1. It's pretty decent, actually, and they remade it, or they kind of cleaned it up a little bit. It's not too bad of a game, and the story's pretty great, actually, in 1. 2 is just annoying as hell, but it's one of those, like, I'm already in it, I'm going to finish it, and then there's DLC that they added to it, where it's, like, one of the side characters.
Are you going to do the DLC?
I'm doing it, and I hate it. It's so stupid. You can tell, like, they didn't put a lot of effort into it, which they do a lot, but this one, like, the cutscenes, there's barely any cutscenes, and, like, the missions are, like, just a splash screen with, like, 2 paragraphs of, like, this is what's happening, go do that, and it's dumb. But anyways, that's Stellar Blade for me. Disappointment also would be Destiny Final Shape. I actually liked the campaign. I think it was really cool. They saved up quite a bit to make it very exciting. But, you know, the disappointing part of that one is we never got around to doing the raid, man. And I think we tried to do it, and there was, like, nobody there to do it with. So it was kind of like that. That's the thing. I think the campaign was pretty great, actually. I think incredible cutscenes. I think the missions were pretty fun, actually, for the most part. But the end game to it, it's like we didn't even do the raid.
No, for me, it's not the most disappointing in that year. It was more so just the saddest situation.
Okay.
Because
that's another wacky one. That would have been another wacky saddest situation.
We abandoned that game because of how just androgynous it got. It was even for me. I went back to play it a couple times even after you guys had quit, and I was like, man, it's just not fun like it used to be. The joy is good.
The joy is gone. I don't think we're going back, man. I maybe one of the last times we were recording, I probably mentioned that I was like, I'm gonna drop the $100, but I'm like, I don't think I want to drop anything anymore. I think we just need to get 3. We just need to get 3 or whatever it is. I'm down to jump in there. I got 2 more real quick. Then Black Myth Wukong. That was like the big kind of game out of China.
Okay, did you play it?
I did. I did, and it's another game where you die a lot. I made it to the 3rd boss.
That's your problem.
I made it to the 3rd boss, and I was like, I'm done with this shit, man. I keep trying these games, man. I keep trying them. The last one that kind of was like I kind of regret, but I also like was man F this. Sekiro. Sekiro was the last one that was like, this is an amazing game. And it, you know, and this one is cool. I don't know. I just don't feel the story. I think that was the biggest thing in this one. And I know it's kind of a Chinese story, that kind of thing. I was willing to give it a chance, right? And it's based on like, it's a big story that they have, like a classic story, the Monkey of the West or something like that. Before they made
Journey to the West.
Journey to the West.
Monkey King.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Journey. and they actually made a game that was pretty cool. I don't know if you ever played it, but Enslaved came out on PS3. That was kind of a story like this, but it was
like, how did we get to Enslaved?
that was a story, the Journey to the West story. It was a Journey to the West story. But yeah, this one I didn't feel it. I tried, and you know, I rage quit for sure at some point. I was like, I'm done with this. The other one,
you quit on a game.
The other one I probably should have liked a little bit better. But at some point I just put it down and never went back. Was The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. That was just I don't know. It's cool. I like the fact that it's Zelda. She's the hero now. But that she doesn't attack directly was like, I think that was kind of whack. Like, you have to conjure up stuff, and that's the only way you attack for the most part. And there is one move that you become Link. You have his sword, but it's only like for spurts, like 5 seconds at a time or something like that. I might go back to that.
That's because you. I'm sure. Did you beat it?
I didn't. I'm thinking. I don't know. I don't know if I go back to it. I'll be honest with you. But yeah, that was that one. And you know, we'll move on, Dalan. We'll get into our games of the year, 2024 games of the. And I like how we picked out some wacky ones in that last section, that last segment.
I don't know if you saw my honorable mentions there, Carlos.
Oh, we're talking that. No, we're talking that, Dalan. That's part of it. We're talking 2024 game of the year, where we do the math. Actually, I do the real time math, so I hope you enjoy that. But Yeah, so 2024 games of the year, we always start with honorable mentions, right? That's what's outside of your top 5. It's just we do a top 5, otherwise it would be a top 10, top 20, whatever, right? So we'll start with you, Dalan. We'll go honorable mentions. If you mention something that was part of mine, I'll throw it in there. But what are your honorable mentions for 2024, Dalan?
My first honorable mention, Echoes of Wisdom, because I enjoyed that game.
Did you beat that game?
I did beat that game.
Okay,
I 100%ed that game.
Okay, got you.
Because even though it starts out like, man, this is a little weird of switching the link, as you get into it, you start to feel the rhythm more and more. And the more items you get, the more it starts to feel like a Zelda game. Link game. I don't know what you want to call it now.
Well, that's true. Zelda. I got you.
Yeah, but honestly, it became an extremely fun, especially a Nintendo Switch game that I could actually digest easily and get through the whole thing of, and feel like I'm playing like one of those old school games. There was another game that I played, Tunic. I enjoyed the hell out of Tunic.
I gotta get back
because
to
it had that nostalgic ass feeling. Hey, that was one of my top games
for
that year.
I remember. Yeah.
But if you want a good Zelda feeling game, like old school, like top down, like Nintendo GBA, whatever, Echoes of Wisdom is a good form for that.
How long is this game?
It's actually a very short game. I think I beat it in like 20 hours.
It feels a little long now that you say 20, but okay.
It has like 5 regions.
Look, Breath of the Wild and was the last one I also put down because they were just so
Tears
long.
of the Kingdom.
I beat the first one. I'm sure the next game in that style, I'm gonna go back to Tears of the Kingdom, right? But 20 compared to the other ones. All right, it's top down. Okay, we'll see. Maybe I'll give it another shot.
Okay.
What else?
All right, then I suggest give you another shot. But play Tunic first. I don't give a damn. But the other ones on my honorable mentions, I'll go through them much faster. Neon White was one of my surprisingly fun ones. It's a what's it called? A run and gun game, but it's anime style. The story is kind of wacky, and you don't have to worry about trying to find all the extra stuff. It's just getting through the levels that's actually fun, and you just sprint through them, getting weapons.
And this was a 24 game?
Different things. Yeah, this is a 24 game.
Okay.
It got free on Game Pass. It's still there.
I know. I heard about it. I've heard it got good reviews and all that. So, Neon White's one of your honorables.
Yeah, it's a very digestible game. If you like to run and gun shoot and you like anime, you can get through it pretty fast. Metaphor Ring Fantasio, I'm only putting on here because I started the file. Excellence all over again. They did it again. And I did not play through the game because I didn't want to spoil it for my wife, so I put it down and I let her play it first.
Good job on honorable mentions to a game you played for 20 minutes, Dalan.
I played that game for about 4 hours. So I got a good distance into it and got a real feel of what was going to be happening before I stopped. Okay. Then the Silent Hill 2 remake. Man, it's Resident Evil, but it's a beautiful rendition of what Silent Hill 2 was. Yeah. And I was happy to actually get to really get into it. And it can have its really spooky moments and some very nasty, disgusting holes to reach into. But...
Yeah. It's I do have more thoughts, but we're gonna have to hold off a little bit on Silent Hill 2. But it's a gross game, man, and it did a great job. It's slower paced than Resident Evil, right? It's not as action packed, like especially Resident Evil 2 and 3. How they're really action games, but they're awesome, right? And Silent Hill 2 in the same vein, they did an amazing job, right? And I actually went back to play Silent Hill 1, and so I very clearly, it's very hard to play Silent Hill 1, by the way, too. Like I needed to bust out the PS3 and buy the digital whatever edition because I didn't have it. I was like, is there a way to play for free? It didn't seem like there is. Not even on Plus Supreme. I feel like you got to pay the $7 and bust out the PS3 because it's not, But it was a cool game. It's funny, man. And it's funny for being a PS1 game with the pixelated graphics. I mean, it's all about the sound, right? The sound was crazy then, but it's Silent Hill 2. I understand why Bloober Team was like, we're going to not do one. we're gonna skip right to 2 and remake that one, so I fully understand that one. I have a couple more words for that one, Dalan, just a few more, but those are your honorable mentions.
Those are my honorable mentions.
So my honorable mentions, I'll try to get through them quick as well. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Again, the campaign was pretty effing nice this time around, right? There's just better games this year, to be honest, right? There's bigger and better games this year, because that last year or the year before, it kind of made it into my top 5 games of the year, as far as the campaigns, and this one was incredible. This was excellent campaign. You can play it on Game Pass, right? So that's pretty awesome. You can play it for quote unquote for free. It had nice missions and everything. I was impressed by it. The other one, honorable mention, Star Wars Outlaws. It surprised me, man. It surprised me, like, how cool, like, the environments and everything in the game. It's like, it feels very, like, I like it here. I like the Star Wars world that I get to run around in. The combat was decent enough. Maybe that's what kind of didn't get it over the hump for me, was that it wasn't the most amazing combat, but it was decent enough. The story was cool. So I liked it. I liked all the environments in it. I'll throw in also Princess Peach Showtime. That one wasn't incredible. Probably why it didn't make my top 5. But I liked the creativity of it. Of that game, and I know it's one of the games that my daughter really enjoyed for the year. And she gets her own game, and it's pretty action packed, and it's a nice little game. The other one, Dalan, right outside my top 5, because you know how much I love my Metroidvanias.
Well, I'm gonna stop you for just a second because you cut out on me. What was that previous game?
The previous.
Fill in the gap for
Princess Peach. Yeah, I know we're having problems, so we're gonna get this up. However it is, we apologize for technical issues. But yeah, Princess Peach Showtime, Dan. Did you get it that time? I don't know. Something, maybe it froze or something. We're just gonna keep it going here. Are we back? Dalan, are we back? I don't know how I'm gonna cut it up. I might just leave it like that, man. I might just leave it like that. All right, the last game, Dalan, Princess Peach Showtime. This next one, you might have thoughts. I have an inkling, since I didn't hear it so far. It's higher up for you, but Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, right outside my top 5. You know how much I love my Metroidvanias. And it was a great game, man. It was a fun game. I platinumed it. I especially enjoyed, this is outside of playing the game, but I enjoyed that at some point you lost progress and you had so much fun with it that you said, fuck it, I'm gonna play halfway through the game or something like that. Maybe that's coming up. I won't spoil that, potentially. But yeah, Prince of Persia. I
can tell the story again.
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. That is a good game. It's a fun game. It's just outside of my top 5. Hellblade 2, not frictionless at all. But it was impressive. The graphics were impressive, especially for a Game Pass game. It just wasn't that fun, man. It just you couldn't skip. Look, to me, give me the option.
Enjoying the cinematic battle scenes that were happening there, and you had to commit to what you were doing.
It's fine, man. It's a walking simulator that has some fighting in it. You know, it's fine. It's impressive. How about that? It's impressive. If you thought if you're impressed with the original, you'll be still impressed with the sequel. The other one that kind of came out of the blue, but is kind of funny, and maybe I should have mentioned it earlier as well. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. I wasn't thinking of purchasing it, but I did GameFly it, and I played. Hopped around the different games, and then at some point I was like, you know what? Me and my child were like, I was like, let's play Punisher. We beat Punisher in like 30 minutes, and I explained to her, I was like, and I told her, terrible. and I told her, I was like, look, remember, we were able to beat it in 30 minutes because you didn't have to put quarters in. We just kept continuing. But these were the games that would eat up your quarters, just so you know. But the real cool thing about it, we actually played Marvel vs. Capcom 2. We played, I think we probably tried every fighting game until we got to Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and she beat me, man. And it was funny because you see the bars ticking away, tick, 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 tick. I'm like, you know what? Do I let her beat me? That went through my mind for a second. Do I let her beat me? And then I was like, no. She's going to have to earn it. And she did. And it was like the happiest moment. Or like, she's like, that was so satisfying. And I was like, yes. You know what? And to me, I was even happier because I didn't let her beat me. She actually had to. I'm not the greatest Marvel gamer ever, right? But it's still, I can beat a child. I can beat a child. And yeah, she beat me.
Trash,
I think I might have clipped it. But it was just a fun little moment, right? That she was like, that was so satisfying. I was like, Yeah, you know what it is. So those are my honorable mentions, Dalan. We'll dip into our top fives. I'm kind of a little hyped. I'm gonna start writing down. I'm gonna do real time math. So we'll let me put Dalan here. Let me put my name here. And it's a weighted, how we do it every year. It's weighted. This is how EGM used to do it. So I'm ripping EGM off. Don't tell them, even though they're defunct now. But this is how they did it. The number 5 game is worth 1 point. 4 is 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Number 1 is worth 5 points, and then we add those up, and we get our game of the year. All right, undisputed.
In this case, between us.
What, between us? And I think, I don't know if I mentioned it, but yeah, Deo and Luis have joined us before, but they're just so busy, man. And they actually were like, we have a top 3, maybe. So they didn't.
Yeah, it's just one of those years. We didn't get around to playing all the games we really.
But we'll see. We'll see. They're all busy, and Dale has his child that I'm sure is keeping him plenty busy too, and that's great. Dalan, what's your number 5, man? Let's get to Dalan's number 5 here. Worth
my
1 point.
My number 5, and I put it at number 5 because 1, I beat it, and I actually enjoyed it, even though the game had a lot of controversy just on its own, was Star Wars Outlaws.
Oh, okay.
I actually enjoyed Star Wars Outlaws. I actually enjoyed the fact that they tried to create a cohesive story that lived in the world of Star Wars, and you didn't have to just focus on lightsaber battles the whole time. They actually used the universe itself and the smuggling system to really have to actually do things. There were a couple of things that did slow me down of trying to actually keep up the reputation for certain factions, but all in all, I honestly found the game to be a worthwhile and smooth experience for myself, because I did feel like I was progressing pretty much the whole time. There was honestly a lot to do in that game.
Did you go for a lot of the trophies on there? I think I went for a few of them. I
was aiming to platinum the game.
Yeah.
And then I found out about one of those last trophies. I forgot exactly what it was. It was like destroy a specific type of ship by doing something in space. And I was like,
dude, I honestly, yeah, there was some that were kind of fun, right? I was like, okay, because that's basically what it is now, man. I don't have the time to try and 3. I don't have the time anymore. I gotta look through the trophies, and they gotta be like fun, man. They gotta be fun, or like, okay, that's a decent challenge, whatever. And some of them were kind of cool in Outlaws, right? Like I think I did some of the like where you have to scavenge for certain things in the sky, and some of it is stuff I didn't even do. Like I was like, okay. And one of the trophies, I think I had to get the factions up. So I was like, all right, this is fun enough. I'll get all the factions up and stuff like that.
Max each one out.
Yeah, I kind of maxed them out. And the card,
the funnest one was getting one as low as possible.
Yeah.
And of course, my wife was on my case. She was like, do the huts. I was like, why the huts? I hate the huts. I'm like, okay, the huts are going down.
But yeah, I thought it was a cool game. It wasn't. It's probably why it's outside my top 5, because it wasn't like, it was there. It was fun enough. The card game was kind of cool.
You played more games than me, for sure.
Yeah, the card games was pretty fun, surprisingly enough. Once you get it. Yeah.
What was it called? Sabak? Yeah, I loved Sabak. That was honestly a fun game, and I played that.
And there's even like one trophy that was pretty fun. That was was it Lando or what's it? Lando?
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah, that was like, oh, cheat like Lando or something like that. I was like, oh, okay, let's get this. But yeah,
so you had to find Lando, learn his moves, and then cheat like him.
But yeah, those were kind of fun, but then it got into some annoying ones. Like, I'm not doing this shit. This is boring as hell. There's a glitch one too, by the way, and you can only get it like towards the beginning. If not, you couldn't get it because the character's no longer there.
No, luckily it is very easy to do that again.
Yeah.
So I actually went back and got that trophy. I just put it on easy, skipped everything, and got it.
Oh, so it did glitch for you though.
Oh yeah,
you had to go back.
I had to go back.
So to me, that was one of the things. I was like, I looked up how to get the trophy or whatever, and it's like, oh, you're gonna have to go you're gonna have to start the game over. And I think I started it, got like 10 minutes in, and I'm like, you know what, F this, man. I'm walking away. I just can't.
Yeah,
do it.
Your problem. It was listen to this man's story.
Yeah,
that's what it was, and he will disappear and never come back if you miss your chance.
So dumb, man. But it's possible. It just glitches out or whatever. But yeah. Anyways, your number 5. All right, that's a good choice, and I like it. My number 5.
What's your number 5?
My number 5 for 1 point is Silent Hill 2. Like I had mentioned before, just so dripping with atmosphere, man. So fucking spooky. It's like it took me a little while to play through that game, right? I would have to play it for maybe like an hour and a half. It's like, let me end the night with something peaceful, like a Rocket League or something like that. You know, let me walk away from this. It's definitely one that took me a little while, but it's a great game, man. And it's slower pace. You know, it's not a Resident Evil 2 or 3, but yeah, it looks incredible. It's an okay story. I think it gets wackier as it goes on. I won't spoil it, but once you get towards the end, it's like, what the fuck? What? Hey, this is what's going on.
I'm gonna say this: what the game actually reminds me of, or at least the remake reminds me of, and I recommend you watching it. And any horror film person out there that likes horror, they're 45-minute long episodes, and every single one of those episodes, there's always something in there that just creeps me the hell out.
You cut out, Dalan. I'm sorry. What was that? I heard your story part, but what was that thing?
Yeah,
called?
I said it's called Evil. Okay. Straight up called Evil.
Okay.
And there's always something in every one of those episodes. They're like 45-minute episodes, and every single one of them has something that just creeps me.
You know what? I am not taking any recommendations at this time for any TV shows. So
my table is full at this moment.
Yeah, it is full, man. And then
but for anybody who fan of any type of horror genre, I say Evil is definitely a good one.
Yeah, so Silent 2 is definitely up there, man. It's creepy. It's concerning. You play through that game and it's concerning. Early on, I hope it's not too big of a spoiler, but early on there's a part, and it's good at, like, you think this is gonna be Scoopy, you think it's gonna be spooky, and it's not. I don't know if you remember, but early on there's a scene where you're walking up to something, Dalan, and you pull this thing back, and you're like, nothing happened.
They got you with that tension. That's what they did.
Yeah, so it's definitely full of tension. If you guys don't like that, you're gonna feel it in this game. But it's a cool one. No, this is one that I thought about platinuming too, but the fact when they don't have chapter select, like chapter select and stuff like that.
No. I thought about platinuming too.
Yeah,
it is some BS. One of the trophies is there's a point where you get a girl that's traveling with you, the woman, I can't remember her name right now. She's blonde hair, running around with you, right? And you have to make sure she survives the game. In order to do that, during the first part where you're running around, actually, for a whole section, a very long time, you have to make sure that your health does not go below good. You have to make sure she doesn't get captured or hurt. And when she's asleep in the hospital, you have to go check on her at least 3 times.
Well, I think I got all the endings that I could get without having to fucking do all the other bullshit. I got like three or 4 of the endings, so it's possible. But yeah, and I thought about it, man. I thought about it, but I was like, I don't have time for this shit, man. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm not trying to walk away myself for that.
But the actual game, played through it once, try to get a couple of the endings towards the end. It's fun. I liked it. I had fun with it. It played well enough. It was. I get it. How about this? It was smoother than Hellblade. I'll give you that. It's smoother than that.
No.
Yes, sir. It is. But at least you can cancel midway through your attacks. But anyway.
No, you can't.
What is your number 4, Dalan? What's your number 4, sir, for 2 points?
Let's come back to that. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. Okay. Even though, yes, we had this conversation earlier, at least you brought it up about me. I loved Prince of Persia, Lost Crown, because I loved the original Prince of Persia on PC. Slow-moving, climbing up things, took forever to grab a sword type of game. But I enjoyed playing this one because it essentially did that build up that Sands of Time had. And even though it was side-scrolling, they actually adventurous, super platformy, and Metroidvania that I like. They kind of incorporated all of that along with an excellent art style into it and a story that I could follow. So I was enjoying the heck out of the game. The only thing I didn't like about the game, and that was the thing that Carlos brought up, is there's a point where you're supposed to bring a parrot from the back of a pirate ship to the front of the pirate ship. When I played the game and I got that mission, the parrot wasn't there, and so I went back and I picked up I still had the mission, and I went back. The parrot was there. I was like, okay, let's grab this parrot. And I went, grabbed the parrot, and I got the parrot all the way back after like multiple tries. When I finally got the parrot back, got to the next screen, parrot was gone. And I went back, parent was back in the same place. It kept resetting. So apparently you have to do that mission like first and foremost or a very specific way, or you just can't get all the side quests done. Yeah. So I had gone through the entire game. And as Carlos had mentioned, I restarted the game just to get back to that point, which was at least halfway through the game.
And it's definitely, look, that's kind of, to me, it tells you how much you enjoyed the game. I mean, yes, I don't know if you go back through it. I will say this, I don't know if I revealed it last time we talked, because I think we talked about it in one of the last podcasts we did. When we did talk about that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I knew that was coming up, man. For whatever reason, I had read about it. I was like, oh, what are some of the side missions? Like, hey, make sure you do this. And actually, it was broken for me too. I just knew based on what I had read, it's like, make a backup to the cloud. If it glitches on you, bring that cloud save down. And actually, that's what I had to do, man. That's what I had to do. And I didn't have to waste half like 10, 12 hours. To get through it again, but
it was like 8 hours. But I spent like all of one day just. But my day off work just did it.
It was a damn good game, man. And to me, it's right outside my top 5. To be honest, I think it was a damn good game. It was a fun game.
Ubisoft was not doing great with their costumes in that game because they had some extra costumes you can get, but they weren't that great.
It's too bad. It's too bad. I don't think it might have done well enough for Ubisoft to consider
it did well.
Did it?
It did. Okay. It did well enough for Ubisoft to say, all right, we know that we can go this direction, but let's try and do 3D again. And then they started going back to 3D, but then in the middle of it, they pivoted back to say, all right, we're going to try and make another 2D game. So that was the next one.
Okay, look, if you guys have listened to these podcasts before, it's always like, take it with a grain of salt what Dalan's saying. I'm not going to look it up right now because I feel my computer's going to blow up, but we'll see. I'll look it up later. Break down. We're already kind of glitching a little bit, man. Damn. All right. What's next? Oh, yeah, so my number 4 game of the year for 2 points is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. That was late December. It came out just about a month ago, but it's such a great game too. As far as like the environments, you really feel like indie. The graphics are amazing, except there's just little what do they call it? Uncanny valleyness. Sometimes like the eyes look a little weird, the facial react, but then other times it looks incredible. So it's kind of a mix of both. I had fun. You're really playing a movie, man. You're really playing
the game, so please do not spoil it for me. I actually just went back.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that, but it's you're playing Indiana Jones, the movie, the game, right? And the mechanics,
the movie, the game, and they actually put a lot of archaeology.
Yeah, the mechanics are well done. The whip and everything. It's just so fun, man. It's such a fun game. That's one that I just wanted to put it down because of this, to talk about games of the year. I put it down and I plan on going back to do some of the side stories and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a great game, man. It's and it's its own thing too. It could have just copied Uncharted or Tomb Raider, and I mean, you'll notice from the animations when you're moving around, but it's not one of those games. It definitely is Indiana Jones. They have you solving puzzles, like if you were Indiana Jones.
Thought into
you have to think about them a little bit. They're not the most hardest puzzle. I think there is an option to make them harder though too. So if you want that,
no, there's an option to make them easier or an option to skip them. Okay. And I was like, no, I went full. Full Indiana Jones. Think I went back like 17 times. I was like, okay, I need. Oh yeah, you were gone for me.
Oh yeah, I let you go, Dalan, I guess. But it's definitely satisfying when you solve the puzzles. I say whoever's playing it, stick with it, and you'll get it. Some of them might take you a little while, but it's pretty satisfying.
You'll get it.
It's satisfying, and it's definitely that Indiana Jones thing, right? Where it's like, I solved the puzzle, but some bullshit is happening now that I solved it. So I had plenty of fun, man. I say definitely go back to it, Dalan, and I'm sure you'll have fun. It probably would have made your top 5, I would assume, if you had.
I was just sick on Monday and Tuesday, which is part of the reason why we didn't record. But while I was laying there, I was playing Indiana Jones. I was enjoying the heck out of myself, even though I was coughing up a lung.
So what's your sorry about that. What is your number 3 game of the year? Why are you giving
people the plague?
Your top 3 for 3 points, Dalan. What's your number 3 game of the year?
My number 3, which was the number 1 fighting game of last year, was Tekken 8. Ooh, okay. I'll tell you right now. Okay. You ask me to fight you in Tekken 8, I'm probably gonna fight you in Tekken 8.
I don't want
to. What are you doing today? And it's like, what are you doing right now? You playing some Final Fantasy? Nope. You want to play Tekken 8? Yes. I will stop this to play some Tekken 8. I don't get enough people to play Tekken 8 with, but I've had a good plethora of people to be able to finally do a fighting game that I love recently. And so it's still very enjoyable. I know I could play with people online, but it's just not the same as playing with people you know. So
and that was
had a blast with my Tekken 8 game,
and that was from the beginning of the year, Dalan. I don't know. I think we talked about it the last time we recorded, or one of the last podcasts we did. But
we talked about the fact that we platinumed it because you were like, you platinumed.
I was gonna say that's why I was bringing it up.
I
was like, if you love it so much, why did I platinum it first before you, Dalan? I mean,
whatever.
I don't see what's going on there. I don't understand.
Oh, because I have friends to play it with. You don't. So there you go.
Yeah, I would think if you love it so much, you'd platinum it first, but that's
all right.
That didn't happen, so that's fine. But that's fine. I understand.
No, I understand. But anybody out there that wants to DM me and say, "Hey, you want to play some Tekken 8?" I'm down.
Okay, there you go, Dalan. Yeah, Tekken 8. I can see it being up there for you. My number 3 top game of the year is, I mentioned it earlier, Frictionless game, but Astrobot, man, Astrobot, and I understand it was like game of the year in all kinds of other publications. I think it could have been up there for me, but there's just 2 games that were just a little bit better. But Astrobot is it's fun, man. It's frictionless, like I said. It's not the longest game, but all the little homages that they did, homages, if you want to call them that. All right, Dalan. All the homages that they did were incredibly fun.
That's the word.
Like you have God of War, Ragnarok, throwbacks. You got Uncharted stuff in there. You got all the history of PlayStation in there. But that's one of the things, maybe potentially, that doesn't have it higher for me, is that a lot of it is referencing a lot of other games. But the gameplay is fun. I had a ton of fun of like playing these levels. I'm like, let me play 5 levels, and then I can go take a nap or something. I can play something else or whatever. So it's very compact in that sense. But there's plenty there. I platinumed it. I had fun doing it. And
didn't you play like all the Astrobot games, like Rescue?
Yeah, and look, it's kind of awesome how this franchise, it finally got the love it deserves. And each one has always shown off. It's a showcase for every console or hardware. The original was for PSVR 1, and I did go back and play that one before this one, because I was like, I never really beat the VR one, and that one's incredible, man. By the way, if you have access to that one, it's amazing, Dalan. Go back to it if you have it. I don't know if you have it. Maybe it came. I don't know if it wasn't a.
I do have
packing.
I do have it.
I don't know if it was a packing with PSVR 1 or something, but if it wasn't,
no, it was free on the PlayStation Plus at some point.
Go back and play it, man. It's amazing. Go back. Look. You already own it.
In your voice,
oh yeah.
Go back and play
it was incredible. I can't believe I didn't play through it the first time around, man. Go back, play it, enjoy it. And then get around to Astrobot this one. And it's kind of incredible that even remember in the PS5, we got a free version of this game. And it was like a 4-hour game maybe, and that was incredible.
Wasn't that Rescue? That was Rescue, right?
Yeah, it could have. Was it Rescue Mission maybe?
I think that was Rescue Mission.
I think it was called something else. But anyways, yeah, that one. No, Playroom. I think it was called Playroom. Rescue Mission was the VR one. PSVR one, Rescue Mission. Then Playroom was the PS5 one. Which, all these little things are incredible. They finally made a full-fledged $50 game, and it's worth every penny, right? I can see why other publications ran with it. It's Game of the Year through different. I think it was the Game Awards. It was a Game of the Year as well. So I can see it. For me, it's my number 3 because there was just two other games that were just. They fed me. They nurtured me a little bit more than Astrobot, even though Astrobot's incredible. Even I think what's this man's name? Fils-Aimé? Reggie Fils-Aimé. He was an ex-president of Nintendo. He was like, they almost outdid Nintendo. They almost did. That's how good of a game it is. It's very incredible. Dalan, what is your number 2 game of the year for 4 points, sir?
You're going to be a little surprised that I'm saying this, but I feel like at the same time you're not going to be surprised. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Okay, I see it.
I put it on number 2 simply because I did have a game that I enjoyed way too much, and I shouldn't have. But for Final Fantasy Rebirth, it was just long, man. Don't get me wrong, Final Fantasy VII.
You're complaining about this, Dalan.
Well,
you like long games.
I do play long games, yes. I mean, I beat Octopath Traveler. But when it came to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it definitely felt like almost every bit of it was being dragged out in some way. And that by itself, it was hard for me to get through sometimes. There were times where I'd actually put down the controller and be like, I got to play something else for a while because this is too long of a game. Even you had the problem at the end of the game.
Well, there's a point where, you have to grind. And that is a little, a slight kink or whatever you want to call it in the system. But go ahead, Dalan.
I didn't have to grind, but I went off and did a lot of the extra stuff on the maps. And it was actually pretty cool that they actually took a lot of those side missions and incorporated them into building the world story, especially the proto-active things or whatever they're called. They're just major events that are side quests that are on the maps, and they have them on each one. There's just one on each one. But if you go and do it, it gives you a big chunk of side story for Final Fantasy, or at least some of the characters. Yeah. And I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and those, you know how I critical path, man. I critical path the game, and when I went back to do some of these sides, I was like, oh, these are kind of meaty. These are not bad. They're not bad. Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like some of those side quests are great, but it still felt like it was dragging on for most of the game in the length that they put into it. Don't get me wrong, the maps were huge, and I enjoyed being able to be on those world maps, but there was just something about it that would kind of try and put me to sleep sometimes. Okay. All right. And sometimes I'd just be like, all right, this is getting boring floating around with this Chicago, like an hour and a half trying to collect seeds floating in the sky. Some of these things you definitely had to look up, but for the most part,
I will defend it. The looking around thing, you're exaggerating a little bit, man. It was 20 minutes, maybe 20 minutes of floating around and grabbing. Well,
you're talking about for the seeds.
For the seeds, you're over exaggerating there for a little bit, man. It's 20 minutes of hopping around. It's not the most fun activity.
Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. There's plenty of activities.
But it wasn't an hour.
But for each activity that they have in the game, it's like it's not the most fun activity. Yeah. I gotta say the Queen's Blood card game, whatever it's called, that was definitely a fun game for me because I was dominating most of the time because I kept on top of it throughout the game. Or Queen's Blood.
Once you figure it out, it's fun, and not as fun as Sabacc though in Star Wars.
Not as fun as
Sabacc. Because that was nice. That was nice.
That one was simple.
Yeah,
Queen's Blood, you had to put a little bit of thought into it, and sometimes you come across people that were playing. Okay, how do I deal with that?
Yeah,
and you just don't sometimes. Anyways, the fact is I did thoroughly enjoy the game, which is why it's my number 2. Mm-hmm. But it is a very long game, especially for people that don't have the time to be playing these long ass games. It was easily 120 hours for me.
Yeah. Okay, Dalan. I mean, it's not gonna be shocking what comes next. I guess, I suppose. But this next game for me, it was my number 2 game of the year. I wrestled with it mentally. Mentally to be my number 1, but ultimately it just couldn't beat it out. But my number 2 is Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth. I mentioned it earlier how the first one in the series was so good. And I'm in. Every game that comes along, I'm gonna stop everything. I'm gonna put everything down to play these games. Like this pirate one that's coming up. It doesn't matter what I'm playing.
Wait,
I'm gonna stop what I'm playing.
Infinite Wealth is the RPG one, right?
Both of them are RPGs. Yakuza Like a Dragon is an RPG, and this one's an RPG as well. This is the sequel to that one. And they're in Hawaii this time around, so they finally, I don't know if Dale's listening, but I remember Dale tweeting about it. It's like, these games have the same assets every single game. And I noticed that from Infinite Wealth, like, you're in Japan. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler, but it starts in Japan, and it's like, I'm still in the original game, man. The same assets or whatever. They finally build a new world. You go to Hawaii. It's cool. I mean, it's a cool new little world that they add, but a lot of it
built a new map.
They built a new map. You go offshore. There's different areas. It's definitely a big game. But more than anything, But more than anything, honestly, it's always about the writing, about the characters. They introduce new characters that are all great. They all take a little warming up to, but it's like if you have your cast of characters in one of the, the Final Fantasy day, and you have your 4, and then there's a sequel to this one. It's a direct sequel, and they're like, let's create 4 more memorable characters that now this is your new gang, and you're mixed back and forth, and it's a long game, man. It's a long game, and there's multiple.
How many hours would you say you put into it?
50, 60 hours. Like, and guess what?
I just don't get 120.
And guess what? And guess what? And guess what, Dalan? Like, I enjoyed every minute, every hour of that game, man. It's there are more grinding points in this one though, for sure. But they give you kind of an option to, hey, they call them haunts in Hawaii. In Japan, they call them you're going into a dungeon or something like that, right? Underground dungeon. But there's always like if you're under leveled, you definitely feel it, but you can go back.
You're getting beat up.
You grind a little bit, and then you get back to the fun.
Is that the one that you had to grind and write down how to beat?
Yeah, eventually. Yeah, I was telling Dalan off wax that it's definitely one of those. Is like, okay, let me go back, but this time I was like, let me be efficient about it. So this move costs this much MP. But it gives this much damage, this much. So I went down the whole thing, and that's how I beat some of these bosses, because they definitely test you. But it's such a fun game. The characters are wacky. The new set of characters that they added are incredible. So I don't know what they do next, because now they have like 8 characters that you want to find out. You want to know what's going on in their lives, how they interact with each other. But yeah, I had so much fun with this one. Like I said, this one I was almost battled with my number 1. It was definitely there. But it was just, I think maybe part of it was that it wasn't too innovative. I feel it just wasn't. It
is more turn-based than other RPGs.
Well, it's turn-based, but even so, it's a fun system, and it's a little bit Paper Mario-ish. Where Paper Mario-ish, where you can kind of like when someone's gonna attack you, you press the button to deflect, sort of. So that's kind of cool, and it has QTEs into it, but yeah, I don't know. I think I just feel my number 1 a little bit more, but it could definitely be a tie for sure. Dalan, what's your and like I said, I'm looking forward to anything these mans do. And I don't think we mentioned it, definitely. But they're working on Virtua Fighter 5, and they're working like Project Sentry or something that's like probably more along the lines of Yakuza. So I'm ready. Even for Virtua Fighter, I'm like, okay, you guys did pretty decent on the Yakuza games combat-wise. And this next Virtua Fighter looks incredible. So I'm just kind of excited. Whatever RGG does, I think I'm there. I think I'm going to be there. Dalan, what's your number 1 game of the year for 5 points?
I feel like you already guessed it. What do you think
Infinite Wealth, of course.
Number 1. What?
What's
I said I feel like you already guessed it. What do you think my number 1 is?
Don't tell me Hellblade, Dalan.
Hellblade Sentinel was sacrificed. You know it. No, it's not that. It's Stellar Blade.
Okay, reasonable. Okay, all right. Explain yourself, sir.
All right, I'll explain myself. I was actually not looking forward to this game when I found out about it. So when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is just gonna be a grab on, trying to make a K-pop star look good on the screen. They just want to make it a fun game where you have the sexy girl on screen most of the time.
Yeah, the expectations weren't too high. The same for me.
Yeah, that was the expectations for that game were very low. Yeah. But then I played it, and as you may know, Carlos, as we have argued about this on multiple podcasts, I am actually a fan of Nier Automata. And Stellar Blade,
I know. I'm aware.
Was definitely Nier Automata, but it had more substance to it, which is actually awkward. Even the guy who made Nier Automata was like, oh, this is what Nier Automata should have been. And it's just an excellent game. The gameplay was smooth for me. I would put this on my Frictionless if I could.
You could have. What do you mean? You should have put that instead of Hellblade.
Runner-up for Frictionless, by the way, was Prince of Persia. What?
This should have been your Frictionless instead of Hellblade. Come on, man. What are we doing here?
Anyway, but the game was not too long. I had fun going through the entire thing twice, mind you. I didn't have to go through it the second time if I didn't want it to, but I went back to try and do some extra things that I found it fun to do even the small things in the game, even collecting the cans that were scattered all over the map. Just trying.
I gave up on those immediately. I was like, this is stupid. I'm not doing this. But
there's a can that I got locked out of for one of the chapters, and they give you the chapter select, and I went back and did that whole chapter just so I could get that can. Honestly, the game was a blast for me. The whole time, the entire time. And obviously there's the whole costume situation that it comes with the game, and I had fun intermingling the costumes, switching up however the hell I wanted to. And on top of that, they're still putting DLC out for the game of more costumes. And I think they're talking about putting up new levels or something like that. But even though the game was fun, highly replayable, I think I'm currently done with the game. I did platinum.
Okay, Dalan. Look, I'll give you. Look, it's all subjective, so I gotta accept it. I gotta accept what you chose. Last year you chose what was it? Dead Island 2. I feel like you're trying to. I think you're trying to just throw a wrench into the whole situation. But look, I hope that in your inner being, in your inner soul, you thought about it and you were like, "This is my number one." And if that's your genuine sentiment, then I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, it was for me. Final Fantasy VII was more about nostalgia. For those that have never played Final Fantasy VII, the original Final Fantasy VII, that was probably the number one right off the bat. For me, it was more nostalgia than anything. But Stellar Blade, for me, was a fresh take on a good action game. Yeah. And I honestly just had fun with it. If I'm going to have fun with a game the entire way, and I have done it, then that's probably going to be way the heck up there on my top list.
All right, I accept it. All right, that's your number one game of the year. You probably guessed it, but I'll give you this. I'll give you a plus. The story was kind of interesting. The story was kind of interesting in Stellar Blade. It was sort of interesting. Just the gameplay, just for whatever reason, I didn't feel it. It was smooth-ish, but I just didn't feel it for whatever reason, right?
I think it's because you had to do that counter situation, and you had the.
And you know what? In recent times, in recent years, I've been embracing the parry system in games. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. But the only thing I can the tree guy, it's kind of spoiler, but not too spoiler. But there's a guy that's like he's the center of it all, right? Do you know what I'm referring to? Man. Yeah, that was kind of cool. The old tree man was kind of cool, and you interacted with them all that. But other than that, whatever, man. So it didn't even make my top 5, Dalan. It actually made it made it to my disappointment pile. All right. I know. So because it was like, whatever, man. They definitely got built up. It's cool if we get a sequel though. Maybe they can clean some things up. Dalan, my number one, probably not surprising, of course, and I definitely wrestled with Infinite Wealth, like I said. Final Fantasy VII, Rebirth. I mean, they. You know what? You did bring up an interesting point, Dalan. It like for people that haven't played the original, it maybe is a little bit more, but I was playing the original. I actually played it before it, and I'll finally beat Final Fantasy VII by the time the next one comes out, because it seems like that's what I've been doing. I play up to the point of the first one of remake, then I played up to Rebirth, which is where you fight the weapons. There's weapon and there's the other sword weapon or something like that. Right, I got to that.
Weapon,
weapon. Whatever.
Just
all right, and so that's a little past where Rebirth cuts off, right? But I think even the build up to this game was amazing, was incredible. The fact that they're like, remake was they did the shadows and all that stuff, and it was just a fucking red herring. It was like, nah, we're pretty much. Well, how about this? I'll try not to spoil it, but it's been kind of long enough. Even the way that things play out is like, no, they kind of play out how you remember them, but still gonna fuck with you. Like in the last boss, Dalan, the fact that they're like, this person's coming back. Or damn, that's kind of a spoiler. My bad, my bad. But whatever. Look, it's an incredible game. It's much bigger than the original. But I do get that.
They are leaning very much into the Kingdom Hearts storytelling aspect.
But again, that's the thing.
That was something that upset me about
the
first one.
Well, yes, but that's what I'm saying. That's the sense that you got. But if anything, it's closer to the original than you thought. So that's what I'm saying. Like they kind of pulled the rug under you.
I'm gonna ask
in the sense.
No. Say it right now. Say it right now, Carlos. Zach.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's cool. But even that, they kind of they gave a decent explanation. I even went back to play Final Fantasy.
The heck out of everybody,
but it's
with
fine.
that.
Yeah, but good, great. I love it. Look, this is why I love it.
Great,
I want the fanboys to be pissed and confused, and I love it. To me, I was just having fun, man. It's the same smooth ass gameplay of the original. They added more. They made they made the world bigger. You can explore, like, it's just incredible what they did. You know, as far as like it's like double the size easily, and it's all fun. And we were just talking about the side missions. Even like this is a meaty side mission. After I do the side story,
double. That's like 5 times the size of any map.
It's like you are living and breathing in that world. All right. So what they do with the sequel is I'm just super hyped for it. And it's hard. It's hard because I do appreciate a story that's a little more compact. So Remake and Rebirth they're kind of up there for me, but just this one they added so much. And it's something that like it's just incredible what they did, what they accomplished with this game. I'm ready, man. My body is ready for the next one. And I did have a moment that gives you kind of that sense of how much I enjoyed it. There is a point in the story, point of no return. It will take you like 4 or 5 hours to get.
No, it's like 8 hours.
It's a long time to get to the end boss. And how about this? I got to the end boss, and this is the problem with Critical Path. I just have to accept it. This is a problem, especially in RPGs. I will not be leveled enough if I critical path. I will not. But I was like, whatever, cool. I'll go to the point of no return, get to the end boss. I play for like 2-3 hours trying to beat the final boss, man. And I get this close to a sliver of this is all this, I don't want to spoil too much, this last person has. And I got there like 2 times out of like 3 hours, and I was like, I got to go back. Like Lost. Did you ever watch the show Lost? I gotta go back. We gotta go back. And I went back 10 hours worth to grind some more. And I was like, I gotta get more leveled. And I did it, and I enjoyed it. And going through these areas I hadn't gone through before, just to get some more, some of that sweet XP juice. I was like, let's go back to it. The only thing right now, I did Platinum Remake, but I try not to use it too much against games. But games are really good nowadays, man, with using like, trophies to really get you going through the game. This one's kind of hard. This one is, it's kind of hard, but I'm kind of, I don't know. I might go back to it, but whatever it was, the experience I got from it is amazing. I can't wait for the sequel, for the finale here. But yeah, and I'm sure you feel the same way, Daniel, even though Stellar Blade is better.
By the way, side note for the game, Chocobo Racing. Yeah, I'm saying it. Just so you know, side note for the game, Chocobo Racing was excellent. It was okay. Mario Kart-ish Chocobo thing. You got to figure out what you're wearing for your Chocobo. It made a difference.
Yeah, I think I had you have to do different side missions to get the best gear. Like get the fanciful hat. Get the fanciful hat. Oh, there's like a gold hat or something like that, which makes your character. But honestly, that wasn't my favorite part, the Chocobo races. But they were better than they should have been. How about that? They were better than they had any right to be.
And compared to the original Chocobo Racing, which was comparatively very boring, their new Chocobo Racing aspects, they put a lot of work into it.
Dalan, so we got a game of the year, man. And even though your attempts to derail this podcast every year, all right, to derail these awards with wacky suggestions.
Hey, what would you do if I made Final Fantasy VII like my first?
That would have been fine. That would have been fine. But look, so number one game of the year with 9 points, because I got it at number 1. Dalan had it at number 2 for 4 points. With 9 points, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Our game of the year is that. All right, you'll be happy to know, Dalan, this is just because you kept it wacky. So you derailed it somehow a little bit. The runner-up for game of the year, Stellar Blade, just because you put it that high up. All right, so I hope you're happy with yourself. All right, runner-up, Stellar Blade. We got comms, runner-up, game of the year for 2024. But I'm happy about this. Number 3, which is a little lesser there, Infinite Wealth. Like a dragon, Infinite Wealth is up there. But yeah, man, look, I had fun with this, Dalan, but then I'm sure when I put this podcast together, I'm going to remember why it's like, this is a lot of work. But I definitely had a lot of fun.
It's an hour and a half of video, so good luck.
I definitely had fun. It's going to be a little glitchy. If you guys get annoyed by the video, there's nothing I can do.
I'm sorry.
Unless maybe you're... No, but I glitched out on your end too, though, right? So it's... right there. And look, we're still glitching right now, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
right now,
we tried our best on the video end of things. It's gonna go up there. If you want the best version, the MP3 should be better. Should be cleaned up a little bit better. So
it's gonna be hilarious.
so we'll see what happens. Dalan, thank you for joining me, sir, for this episode. I don't know when we do it next, to be honest. Keep your notifications on if you like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We're not promising anything. At least I'm not, because it's plenty of work. We do have fun with it. I had fun, definitely, Dalan, and I like, at least we could come back, right, for Game of the Year kind of thing.
I'm down to come back anytime, but originally you had stepped away for family purposes.
Yeah,
I had started to step away because life.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what everybody has to deal with. We're adults.
And honestly, look, since the last time we were here, I got a new job and I'm working on another job. So it's kind of like one of those things where 2025 is still going to be a little hectic. If we ever get back to a regular cadence, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever it is, it could potentially be something else too. I don't know, maybe we could stream or whatever, but me and you are, I won't put it on wax, Dalan, but me and you are kind of working on something, not for public consumption, unfortunately. It's for our own personal careers type of thing. But it for us to get back to a regular cadence, it might be a while, but at the very least, I have fun doing these, man. At least we could come back and like mark our games of the year at the very least, or maybe the next time is Switch 2. Maybe we can, maybe that's a big enough deal or something like that we can kind of come back for that and get together. But yeah, again, I'm Carlos Macias, the master of what, Dalan? You forgot? Damn it. See, it's just like old times.
No.
Just like old times.
Remembered. I remembered what I called you, but then I realized I had called you that in a previous episode.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Dalan, so I'm going to call you the master of sticky notes now. You're now the master of sticky notes.
Okay, but I guess I'll take it. I'll take it as a compliment if that's what it is.
You're welcome.
Dalan Kirkwood from Up in the Mountains, thank you for joining me, sir. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And yeah, man, Final Fantasy. Look, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's full circle, Dalan. The first time we did this was Final Fantasy VII Remake. That was our game of the year, if you remember, going all the way back. So we definitely had fun. I had fun doing this, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you, sir.
Down to it again. Thanks for showing up.
All right. Thanks for showing up. All right. That's cool. Nothing changes. Nothing changes.